Today I'm going to be showing you how I make my own resin charms. The first thing that you want to do is you want to grab protective equipment. I always use a mask that protects me against fumes and some gloves when I'm mixing my resin. You're going to need your resin. I'm using Barnes epoxy cast resin, which is the 2:1 ratio resin. A measuring cup, this is just a medicine cup that I got from a local cheap store. A plastic cup which I mix my resin in. And I'm also going to be using various stirring tools. I'm going to be using a skewer and a popsicle stick. So this is the measuring cup that I use to measure my resin in. It has fluid ounces on one side and milliliters on the other. And like I said earlier, my resin is a 2:1 ratio, so I believe I use 30 mils of part A and 15 mils of part B. But before you mix your resin, you want to make sure that you read your instructions because all resins are different. Yours might be a 1:1 ratio, you just don't know. So all I've done is pour that in there, and I use a popsicle stick to get all the resin out of the measuring cup and into my plastic cup. You want to make sure to get as much resin as possible out of there so that it's as close as the measurement as possible. And I just use the cup to get the excess off the stick like I'm showing you now. So once I've done that, I'm going to measure my part B. I'm using the same measuring cup. You can use a different one. It doesn't really matter that much. And just do the same thing. And then once I finish measuring, I use the popsicle stick again to get it all out of the small measuring cup, as I'm showing you now. And again, you want to make sure you get as much out as possible out of the cup because then the measurement is as close to exact as possible. You're never going to get it all out, but you want to try and get as much as you possibly can. Like so. Next, you want to mix your resin. So it starts off with getting like weird, cloudy, stringy bits, which I'm going to try and show you when I lift the cup up. I don't know if you can see, yeah, you can sort of see like how it's a bit cloudy and stringy there. You want to mix it until it's completely clear. Now this might take a little while, but what I would suggest doing is keeping it on a flat surface, not mixing like I mix like that. I mean, you can mix however you want, but it's better on a flat surface to mix like so. Then, once you've finished mixing and your resin is completely clear, you want to grab your mold. I'm using this silicone mold. You can use silicone molds or proper resin molds, which I'll put some examples in a link in the description bar if you want to have a look. But then you want to make sure that your molds are completely covered by resin. You just want to put like a thin layer in and make sure that the mold is completely covered. I'm just moving the resin around with my popsicle stick. You can kind of move the mold around a little bit if you want to and pour it all in there. I'm not wearing gloves at this point because I find it uncomfortable to work with resin with gloves after the mixing point, but I always wear them during the mixing part. It's totally up to you if you want to wear gloves after that. Just be super careful if you're not wearing gloves. So now my mold is completely full. I'm going to blow the air bubbles out with a straw. You can use a straw or a heat gun, anything you want. I'd already done it, so I'm pretending to do it in this scene, but I'm just using a regular drinking straw. I waited about half an hour so that the resin was a little bit tacky, as I'm showing you now with my skewer, and this is the time that I put the things I'm embedding in my resin. So I'm going to be using stickers today. You can embed all different kinds of stickers, but if they're paper stickers, you want to make sure that you seal them. You can either seal them with tape or Mod Podge. I can do a video on how I seal my paper stickers if you like. Just leave a comment down below if you want to see that. So I'm just speeding up the footage of me embedding different stickers into my resin. I use puffy stickers, I use epoxy stickers, I use all different kinds of stickers. So you just want to make sure that you push the stickers down all the way so that the back is covered by resin as well. You don't want to have any bits of your sticker that aren't covered by resin. And you just pop them in and push them down like I'm doing with my skewer. You can use paddle pop stick, it doesn't really matter. And I'm zooming in there so you can see a bit of a close-up. With the last resin piece, I actually slow down the footage so you can get a proper view of me embedding the stickers. Alright, so in this last one I'm using this little bear here. And I just put him in the resin like so and push down with my skewer to make sure that the sticker is completely covered. I'm also going to pop in a little bee with him, and I put a little bee in there and push him down. Now it doesn't really matter if your stickers aren't in the exact place because you will get a chance to move them later. I find mine do move around a bit during the time that the resin is curing, but you get a chance to fix that a little bit later in the process. So now I just leave them. Now after your resin has been sitting for about, mine was sitting for about an hour and a half to 2 hours at this point, so it was really tacky. This is when I put my glitter in. So I'm pushing my stickers down. This is the last chance you'll get to do it. And I'm getting my glitters, which I just keep in this box. I also keep all my powders in here as well. And I'm just showing you all the different glitters that I have. So I'm going to be using mainly this glitter in this Toulouse-Lautrec case. It's just a white sequiny glitter. It's very pretty. And literally all I do is spread it over the top of the resin pieces. Now, obviously, I'm not a professional resin maker. This is how I make my own pieces. You can do it this way, you can tailor it a little bit, you can watch other tutorials, it's totally up to you, but this is how I personally make my resin pieces. So once I'd finished putting that white glitter on, I'm going to grab some colours now. I just like the way it translates with that glitter over the top of it, but you don't have to put the same glitter on there, obviously. I put blue on that bottom one, I use pink now, I think, or purple, and I put some yellow in there. It's totally up to you what colours of glitter you want to use. And like I said earlier, I wait about an hour and a half to 2 hours at this point, but your resin might be different. You just need to make sure that it's tacky enough that the glitter isn't going to sink to the bottom of the resin piece. Because if you don't wait long enough and your resin is still really liquidy, all the glitter will just sink to the bottom and it'll completely ruin your resin piece. Another thing I found was I pushed my stickers down after I put the glitter in, and the glitter kind of seeped into the front of the sticker, so all you could see was glitter and no sticker, so that kind of sucked too. So you need to be very careful not to do that. So then all my pieces are done with the glitter, and I'm going to let them set for about a few more hours. Alright, now my pieces are completely dry, and I'm going to show you how you make your second layer. What I like to do is I like to colour my second layer and put different powders in it. So I'm going to be using loose eyeshadow to colour my resin, but you can use inks or pigments, whatever you want. So those are the two powders that I'm using. One's a pink, one's a champagne colour. And I just use a plastic stick to tip some into my resin. And obviously my resin is the same as before. You want to make sure it's completely clear, mix it like normal. And I'm just using a smaller cup this time. That's the only thing that's different from earlier. And I'm just going to use my plastic stick again to get a bit more powder in it. Like so. You want to make sure not to add too much powder because it can affect the curing, like the chemical reaction, I guess. And then you just mix it like earlier. I don't always put 2 layers on my pieces. As you'll see in a moment, I only put a second layer on 4 of my pieces, not all 6, because I like the way it looks without it and I like the way it looks with it. So I'm just mixing it. Like you can see, it was a bit hard with the colours. I don't know why it didn't translate well in camera, but that is the second layer colour. And then simply what you want to do, same as earlier, is just pour it over the top. But you want to make sure that your resin pieces are completely dry or hard to touch, basically, when you do this. And you want to make sure that, again, you get it all over the mold. And you literally just do that. You just tip it, make sure it completely covers the whole resin piece. If the resin isn't completely dry when you do this, it can kind of seep through into the other resin and it can look a bit weird and can completely ruin your pieces. So you want to make sure that they are dry when you do this. They don't have to be completely 100% hard and set, but they do have to be hard to the touch. You'll know what I mean in a second when I show you the pieces that I get out. When I pull my yellow and blue piece that I haven't put the second layer on, they're still a bit malleable. You'll see in a moment. But that's basically what I do, is I just tip the second layer on and make sure that all the air bubbles are out again before I let them cure. So there you go. As you can see, this took about 7 hours to get to this point. And as you can see, they are quite hard, but they're not completely hard and not able to be moved at all. So like I just said, it took about 7 hours to get to this point. And as you can see, it's sort of bent, so you can stick a head pin in. This is why I take them out at this point. You want to make sure that they're completely dry, so they're not sticky to touch, but they're still malleable enough to stick a head pin in. And how you got them out of the mold, I literally just separate the sides and pull them out. It's not too difficult to do that. So I'm going to trim my head pin with my wire cutters, like so. And then literally just hold my piece and push it in. You don't have to take them out early while they're still soft if you're not going to put a head pin in. If you're going to use something different like an eye screw or something that you glue on the back, you don't have to take them out at that point. You can let them completely harden, which takes about 12 hours or so. And here are the completed 2-layer pieces. These pieces are almost done. All they need now is sanding and doming, which I have a tutorial on, which I haven't uploaded, but when I do, the link will be in the description. Don't forget to check the description for extra tips and tricks. If you liked the video, you could leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks, guys!